Yeah, your mic.
So awkward.
I know.
Okay.
I'm Kaden.
And I'm Jordan. And this is our first episode, I guess.
Yeah. Sorry if this is a little awkward. Our topics today are self-love and personal growth.
Yeah. So what, as a teenager, would you consider self-love or self-care?
I feel really like taking care of yourself. Like, I'm not really like, I feel like teenagers tend to judge their bodies and their acne and all, like, just their insecurities. And I think that's a really big thing.
Okay, so how would you show self-love in those aspects as a teenager? What could you...
Well, I've seen people write Post-it notes, like my sister does.
Like the affirmations?
Yeah, she writes affirmations and she sticks them on her mirror, and she'll have something to say and she'll repeat it like over and over in front of the mirror.
Okay, yep, and saying I am instead of you are actually helps rewire your brain a little bit faster. Okay. So I am beautiful rather than looking at yourself and saying you are.
All right. What do you as an adult see as self-love?
Taking care of yourself. So you can see depression. A lot of people, that's the first thing that goes. They're not going to brush their hair. They're not going to brush their teeth. They're going to wear the same clothes repeatedly. They're not going to care about their environment. So self-love in that aspect, cleaning up after yourself. Grooming as an adult is self-care, self-love.
Do you see that with like a lot of adults? Like, I don't know how to really explain it. Like, they don't have self-love, I guess.
You do see that with a lot of adults. Yeah, because we've talked about it personally between me and you on traumas and past and how everybody deals with things and how things can play out later on in life and how people struggle. So as soon as things start to get a little too chaotic, you're going to notice that self-care is the first thing out the window, because I'm not going to focus on myself. I'm going to focus on everybody else around me.
And I feel like that's a really big thing with a lot of people.
It is, yeah. How would you... Do you think you would be able to see your friends? Like, if they're going through something, can you spot it?
It really depends on the person. Some people like to hide it really well. So some people I know will not hide it really well, but they take it out on different, like different ways.
Yeah.
Like, some people will, get angrier often or more emotional. It's just a really big thing. Or they'll, I don't know, it's just, people change in different ways.
They do.
And they express, what's going on in different ways. So it's kind of hard to spot, but if you're really looking for it, you can spot it.
As you get older, that's going to be easier to spot. So, for instance, you're going to see a lot of people walking around with a lot of piercings and tattoos. Most of those adults, that's their therapy.
Yeah.
So instead of talking to somebody else or dealing with it, they're going to go and they're going to put a hole in their face or, stuff on their body, their arms. It's just to beautify your outside to make you feel better on the inside.
I feel like that's kind of what I do with my piercings. Something hard happens in my life. Mom, I need to get another piercing.
Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, I don't necessarily get piercings to a certain extent, because I feel like the more you get, the more it's going to affect your body. Yeah. And I feel like some people do get piercings out of anger or out of
spite.
I try to not do that, because one day you'll be like, oh, I really want to do this, and then the next day you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done it.
That's part of the impulse thing. So as teenagers, your impulses and things are harder to control, especially with your hormones going crazy. And your emotional development, you're not fully emotionally developed until you're in your 30s. Yeah. So you've got all that going on. Then you've got your chaos going on at home. So some people are going to go on those impulses. So am I going to pierce something? Am I going to go have my friend try and do a tattoo on me? Am I, and this is where, you know, kids are going to be like, I'm tired of life at home. I'm just going to go do some friend real quick, whether
Yeah.
that may be.
And I feel like that's a big thing with personal growth. People tend to like, I don't know, they tend to take it out without taking things out on either themselves or on other people without thinking about it.
So personal growth, you think you're able to handle that
Yeah,
better,
you're
handle
able-
everything better. And
You're
it
able to
is.
handle yourself better, handle your emotions, handle like what you do or what you think better.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a really big thing that needs to be talked about because some people don't have that.
Emotional
yeah.
control. Yeah. And like I've told you, it's not something we were taught growing up. My parents weren't taught emotional control. So as I'm learning and reading and I'm teaching you kids and how to express yourselves better rather than go to your room and think about it.
Yeah.
It's okay, let's talk about it. You know, what upset you? What was your main issue? Personal growth can come in a lot of different forms.
Yeah.
Like learning to cook.
Or
As a
learning to
teenager.
bake.
Learning to cook, learning to bake.
Learning to bake is one of your biggest things that you tend to do.
Another personal growth thing probably for teenagers would be a time management thing.
Yeah.
Because as you guys are starting high school, you're getting jobs, you're doing sports, so you have to time things rather than relying on somebody else to do it for
And then,
you.
I mean, it does get stressful, but it does help you in the long run.
It does.
Because,
It does.
like, I know people who don't know time management, me included, and it gets stressful.
I still struggle with time management. You'll
Yeah.
see me cooking and I have like one thing done and I'm still waiting on 4 other things because time management's hard depending on, you know, if you were taught at a younger age. Some kids have that benefit where there's a routine and structure in place and we're doing things time, you know, by certain times and it helps.
Yeah, and I feel like you've taught us well with that. I mean, even though sometimes I still struggle with it, I'm getting a bit better.
We work on it.
Yeah, I think I've shown that in the past, like, this semester of school, I think.
Yeah.
It's been
You have.
getting decent.
What else do you think would go with personal growth?
Trying to think.
Would you think like sports or your schooling or anything for you guys, because that's your life, that's your world, is your school, your friends, your sports,
Well,
if there's jobs.
I think so. I'm about to go into a story here.
Okay.
So when I was little, obviously you know this, I was very shy and I didn't really talk to people. Kind of kept to myself. And over the years during school, it was kind of hard to focus on things or talk to people about like myself because I was shy and I didn't know how to. But I could always talk to my mom, so that made me feel better. But I started playing softball, which I feel like that really helped a lot.
It did.
Especially high school softball, because there's people I didn't know there. And joining like different clubs in high school, I didn't have to, but attending those different events helped me talk to more people and get outside of my box, and it's really helped.
I think bands helped you with that too.
Yeah, because I don't know. I feel like being with people you don't know is really scary, but it does help you grow in the long run.
Yeah, it does.
Like I feel like I've grown from just like talking to people and being able to talk about my emotions more with not just like you, but like my friends and people who like I barely know, I guess. Like not like insanely like talking about my whole past,
but you're able to express how you're feeling in the moment rather than I feel this and I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, and it does still happen occasionally.
Well, yeah,
because I mean, I can't just like be like, oh hey, yeah, I'm feeling a little sad because you're not talking to me. But like, I mean, sometimes it is hard to talk to people about that stuff, but it gets easier.
Yeah, it does get easier.
I feel like doing more things with more people does help you a lot.
It does. Once you get your first job as well, that personal interaction with customers. So like if you're on a register somewhere, fast food store, whatever, you're going to see regular people and you'll get to know them. And then, you learn to interact with the people you don't know. And it just gives you that little set of confidence to start to interact with other people. That's why I said getting a job at your age is kind of important, not just to help you buy what you want, but you're going to learn time management from it. You're going to learn personable skills from it. And you're also going to learn money skills.
Yeah.
So.
And I feel like I keep saying this, but that is a big thing with a lot of people. Some people don't get taught that with like the way their family is.
Yeah, you
not
can't
like
count
family,
on school.
just like their environment. And yeah, sometimes school doesn't really teach you that.
Doesn't teach you everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another topic. Like I said, we can cut this out. How have I grown in the last month?
In the last month.
Yeah. What do you feel like you've grown? Like how you've grown, I guess.
For me, so I've been just working on myself, just emotionally. Let's say in the last month. Yeah, that would be the main thing.
Okay. I feel like I've gotten a little better with the whole time management thing, sort of.
You've gotten better.
I feel like I've been my sleep schedule hasn't been the best, but I've been doing better with it. Been trying to set times to wake up or like planning out things that I could do.
And starting to get a routine going.
So I think the time management thing or like a routine has been my biggest thing over the past month. That winter break just did not help.
Well, yeah, nobody really does constructive things during Christmas break.
What boundaries do I need to set? So like maybe with yourself or with other people.
So boundaries are not meant to be set for yourself. They're meant to be set for other people. However, a boundary is not meant to control the other person because then that turns into manipulation.
Yeah.
So a boundary would be, I don't like the way you are talking to me. Like if they come off like really mean or something.
Or like, let's say like somebody's like begging you for something and you're like, hey, I please don't do that. Like I've asked you to stop.
Yeah.
And then keep doing that is like crossing your boundary. And I feel like sometimes setting boundaries is hard with certain people because they tend to ignore it. And that's very just like not manipulative. It's really disrespectful. And I feel like it kind of breaks down. Like,
well, actually with boundaries, you're going to more likely expect most people to break those boundaries. Yeah. But with a boundary, there needs to come a consequence to it. And that's what most people don't do. So that's why some people get treated like they're a rug.
Yeah.
People walk all over them because they never hold that consequence to their boundary.
Yeah. Let's see. What are some of these? Okay. What makes you feel relaxed and at peace? I feel like that's kind of like self-love on the topic of that.
Yeah, relaxed and at peace would be self-love, self-care. I listen to and do meditations, things like that.
Okay. I like sitting in this little corner that we have in our house over here because the sun reflects, and I like to sit there and just kind of read or journal. I've kind of stopped on my journaling, but it does I really do enjoy journaling and reading. It's probably my top two things.
Journaling is a good way to express yourself. Yeah. So a lot of people need, when they're going through something, they need a way to get what they are feeling out so that they can logically process it and understand it. Some people, though, writing it down isn't as beneficial, so talking to somebody helps.
Yeah.
But as teenagers, you can't tell everybody everything because, people will use it against you.
Yeah.
What you can do is talk to yourself, record it as a video, and you can go back and delete it. That's an option. You also have, I know you make fun of me for this, but ChatGPT. You can talk to ChatGPT or type it in, and it can actually give you information back on what happened. So if somebody else says you're in the wrong in a situation and you don't fully understand what you did wrong, right? You can use ChatGPT and make sure you're honest and put every detail in there of what happened from you and the other person. So it gets an unbiased opinion to give out on what transpired. So this person could have gaslit this person and they didn't really see it.
Yeah.
Things like that.
I mean, I feel like you can talk to your friends about it, but sometimes some friends like to try and make you feel better. So they'll be like, well, I think they were in the wrong when, like, in reality, you could have been in the wrong. I feel like that's a really big thing that people do nowadays, and then it just starts more because you're like, oh, well, I was right. So then, like, they take it out on the other person. They're like, oh, I'm right and you were wrong.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a really big thing with, like, kids maybe a little younger than me or kids my age, because I don't know, really. It's just...
I feel it's worse. Well, I don't know, because you see it throughout all ages.
Yeah.
Where you'll see the one little kid playing by themselves because they've been kicked out of the group, and then it happens in high school. I mean, so you're going to see it at jobs.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, you're going to have those ones that just get treated like crap by everybody.
Yeah. What does success mean to you?
Success to me?
Yeah.
For me, I guess, because I don't work, so success would be just you kids doing well and going out on your own and doing well when you're out.
And I feel like that's kind of a thing with personal growth.
Mhm.
Not really, but like some people can't. They find success, I feel like, in like money or just like in a lot of ways. And I feel like that, like, you could not interpret.
I guess it would go more off of somebody's values.
Yeah.
And those values can change.
Yeah.
So I guess I would say it depends on where you're at in life, what you consider successful. Because 15 years ago, my opinion would have been different.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really big thing. Like, it changes over the course of the years. And you're like, oh, well, I used to be so quiet or so just, I just didn't feel like myself. And I mean, it's really because, like, you've grown as a person, and that's like with personal growth, you grow and you learn, and it's off topic, but it's okay.
Well, you can still view it as a success because that is going from being an introverted person to actually being out there and putting your feelings out there is a big success for a lot of people.
Yeah. New era. Okay. What are 10 habits of self-love? Like, how people kind of like destroy their self-love, I feel like. What are 10 habits
10 habits to destroy their self-love?
I feel like that you feel like people do a lot that could maybe be like helped.
Being a people pleaser is the first one, because you're going to focus on everybody else around you rather than yourself.
I feel like I am kind of a people pleaser, but I think I've gotten better with that. So I think it's pretty good that.
Yeah. Let's see. What was the question again?
What's 10 habits that people like to destroy their self-love?
10 habits to destroy their self-love. Okay, so people pleaser, self-sabotage is another one. Time management can even be.
Yeah.
Okay, I probably can't think of 10, so there's 4.
Okay. Honestly, I agree with your answers because time management is a really big one. It gets stressful, and then they start to take it out on themselves, or it's just like a big thing.
Well, losing time management, you can lose a job.
Yeah, and
that can have a domino effect. So you lose your job, you can lose your car, you lose an apartment or a house. So.
And then it makes you feel like you're not as like good enough to have those things. Yeah,
and there's certain things in life as an adult you'll notice one little thing can go wrong and completely change your whole life and how you're running it. So a car accident, a fire, your car just completely getting totaled can change your life.
Yeah. And I mean, I think I've talked to you about the fires in LA. I feel like that's probably happened to so many people there because like they've kind of built their lives up
Well,
Like,
everything was in their homes. Everything.
Yeah.
So all their personal items,
all
know,
just like
equipment, everything. So
Yeah.
replacing not alone just their homes, but everything in it. And then you can't replace sentimental things.
Yeah, especially if some of those, like, I was talking to my mom about this. I didn't read about it. I saw a video about this, but this dude had a bear shop with his wife, and they had it for a really long time, and their shop burned down. I'm pretty sure. And it was very upsetting because that meant a lot to them because they'd been working on that for years.
Yeah, some people poured their lives into their homes, into their businesses.
And I mean, I feel like that's a really big thing. Like,
It is.
they pour so much love into it just for it to get destroyed. And I mean, that's like with a lot of just things, not even like fires. Like, you can pour your whole heart out into like maybe like a book you're writing, and then somebody says something really cruel about it. Like, if you let them read it, and then they're like, "Oh, this sucks. You need to find something different," and then that tears apart that person. I mean, that's not always like what happens.
Right.
But I've seen it happen to so many people, and it's just not recently, but I feel like people nowadays my age or like younger, a little like maybe a few years older than me, like my generation and stuff, have just been very cruel. And I mean, this isn't really on topic of self-love or well, I mean, it could be with personal growth and self-love, but they take out their emotions out on other people, and it hurts other people.
It does.
And like, I feel like there is no like, not love nowadays, but relationships have changed so much.
There's no empathy.
No.
Is the biggest. Which is crazy because now you'll see commercials and they're trying to teach people empathy and how to have compassion. Yeah. And I don't know, that's something that I've never been able to get rid of. Like, I've always felt for the other person.
Yeah, and so have I, and I think I wouldn't say I really got that from you. But like, people I've met like my age or like a little younger, they're like really rude, or they don't care for you. And it's just, I don't get it, because I've seen all these like stories about like people who like fell in love and stuff, and like, I don't know.
You mean like the high school sweetheart stories and things like that? No,
because those don't always like turn out the way
they don't.
But like, I've seen so many like, kind of like you and Dad, like you have problems sometimes. Not problems, but like, trying to figure out how to word this.
Like, we might have a disagreement on something.
Yeah, but you still like, we
communicate. Yeah, we work things
communicating
out.
Is a really big thing with like personal growth and
it is.
Self-love. Like, if you don't love yourself enough to communicate with the other person, then that's like, I guess that kind of sounds weird, but I mean, it happens with some people. Like,
they'll shut down.
They shut down, and then they're like, I need space. And I mean, that's fine to take space, but I feel like communication is a really big thing that needs to happen.
It is, but not only communication, but comprehension. So there's also a difference in talking to somebody and the other person listening than talking and then the other person just responding.
Yeah, they're not listening, they're
listening enough to give you a response.
But it's not like,
it's not going to solve the problem or the issue or anything like that.
Yeah. With some people, I feel like maybe they don't love themselves enough. Like,
a lot of people.
Yeah, and I mean, people like now have been very insecure, like are very insecure, and I wouldn't say people now. It's like everybody's insecure. But I mean, so many things can cause being insecure to where you just like, you shut down and you don't like yourself, like you don't like how you look, you don't like your voice or anything, and it's
a lot of trauma that people have to deal with and unpack.
And sometimes it's really hard. Like, some people, it'll take years. Like,
there's adults.
I've seen people who have been just so happy and like just so like, I don't know how to really explain it, and then like over the years they've just gotten like insecure and they just don't want to talk, or they've kind of shut down because of all the trauma and stuff. And I feel like self-love is something that people need,
They do. They do. They need
Yeah.
self-love, self-care.
because
To go a long way.
yeah, it like I said, it's a really big thing,
It is.
and people affect that a lot. Like, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I think that's. I think that's all good on that topic. You ready?
Yeah.
So I think that's gonna be all for today because we've got things we gotta do. But
If you have any questions, comments, or got any input, let us know in the comments.
yeah, because we could use some input or like some advice maybe.
Yeah.
Or if you have like examples maybe, like of what, like a scenario, what, like we could talk about that too.
Yeah.
Like different scenarios people have.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching and tune in for our next episode.
Thank you. Bye.
I think that was fairly